Cool.
Perfect. Let's get into it. Heart-Centered Hustlers, super excited for this guest. And the reason why I'm excited for this guest is due to the fact that I have had multiple tugs, if you will, to rabbit hole down the world that is YouTube. And I go, as soon as Aleric got on the call today, he jumped on Zoom and I was like, dude, you are all over the internet. And he goes, ha, 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 you must have got stuck in my retargeting. And I am. I knew him before. I knew him because I'd watched some of his videos because I'm a funnel hacker, right? Like I like to see what people are doing. Not that I had any interest in actually, going down the YouTube rabbit hole, because it to me, it was a rabbit hole. It's a lot of unknown, which I believe he's going to do a lot of filling in the blanks for me in this episode. And for you, if you've wondered how video content can grow your business, that's the whole focus of this. That's his wheelhouse. That's how he is good. Also, I would not have him on the show. Like, he scripts his videos. He knows what he's doing. There's subliminal messaging through his video. Like, he knows what he's doing. So if you're looking to drop video content, to turn that into lead generation, that's the point of this episode. So I just want to kind of preface that. That's what my hope is to get out of this episode. And I remember the first video of Aleric's that I watched, and I almost opted in. You almost had me, bro. And I'm like, I'm in this world. You know, when you get somebody that opts in and they're in this world and they know the play. But I was like, damn, man, this dude knows what he's talking about. And then I went into your funnel and I checked out your landing page and I read the copy, because, something that I talk about a lot on Heart-Centered Hustlers is make sure you do your research. Because early on in this journey for me of content creation, of writing my first book, of launching my first podcast, I just was spending money in hopes that the people were as they appeared on the other side. And what I found out was they weren't, right? So Aleric, shout out to Interview Valet. Thank you for making this introduction, Karen. I've seen this man all over the internet. And of course, as soon as I hit his landing page, he had his retargeting set up. I do a lot of video watching. I do a lot of, I like to watch some higher level influencers, because I know that they're going to be dropping what's working before it actually becomes before somebody drops a funnel around it. Right. So Aleric, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on, Mark. I'm excited to dive into everything.
Well, let's get into it, man. I don't even want to pregame with you. And that's the excitement that I have, which I was talking with you about, is the excitement I have over this podcast. I don't have to do a lot of, how did you come to the world, which I did with Purpose Chasers, which I loved for a long time. But now I just want to talk business. I want to talk nuts and bolts. I want to share with those that are heart-centered tips and tricks on how to grow your business and have more impact in the world. How did you come to YouTube? How did you grab that niche? And I know it doesn't happen by mistake. I know based off my experience with my marketing company and the consulting that I do, it comes from banging your head off a wall. So how did you get there?
Absolutely. So I've actually been on YouTube for over a decade now, which is kind of crazy to think about. I started out with a YouTube channel, and I was pretty young at the time too. I started with the YouTube channel back in 2009. Totally different platform back then. You probably remember, Mark, right? It's like standard definition videos, rate 5 stars. It wasn't the like button back then. And I created a YouTube channel, where I was doing tech reviews, app reviews, like tutorials, things like that. And it started to grow pretty quickly. So it became actually the largest app review channel on YouTube, over 450,000 subscribers. I still have a small team that does, I kind of turned it into a 4-hour work week, these days. But about 5 years ago, I was in college, and I had the YouTube channel. I kind of already figured out how to make it more of like a 4-hour work week. So I had like people who were doing video editing, people doing everything. It's really just my voice at that point. And we had these different sponsors that would come in, and they would sponsor us to feature their app or their product on our YouTube channel, and they get purchases or downloads. And there was one particular app that they're like, this is incredible. We got thousands of downloads. But how can we reach more people? you know, and they were asking, can you post the video again? Or, you know, if you like, can you tweet it a few times? Like, how can we get more people to watch this? And I said, you know what, I've actually been experimenting, and this is about 6 years ago. I've actually been experimenting a little bit with YouTube ads to grow my channel. What if we use YouTube ads to promote this video that we already made to get more downloads for this app? And they were a little skeptical because back then, you know, the people advertising on YouTube was like Geico, Ford, you know, it was like the big companies. It wasn't really individual like entrepreneurs, right? Like us. And but they were like, all right, we'll give you $500. Let's run this as an ad. So we spent $500, and in 1 week, we get over 11,000 users for that app, which was incredible. They were blown away because they were actually, it was a performance marketing company that had hired me. Oftentimes when you have these like sponsorship deals, it's like a marketing company that works with the brand or whatever, and then they're kind of a middleman. They were getting paid on performance $1 for every user. So they made a pretty solid return with, you know, 11,000 users for $500. And so, you know, from there, I started to do a few more promotions. I went into YouTube ads for mobile apps. Basically I was getting, you know, driving millions of downloads for applications. I was leveraging kind of my network that I had in the app industry. But then something clicked. I realized, wait a second, because as I wanted to grow my own business, this is about 3-4 years ago, I started running YouTube ads and I got into the world of ClickFunnels, to a ClickFunnels page to get people to watch a webinar about how I could help their app, you know, get more exposure and get more downloads. And then I started to have people ask me, hey, can you help me with YouTube ads for funnels? I mean, that's what you're doing for yourself. You know, hey, can you help me use YouTube ads to get leads, get clients, get sales, get people into a funnel? And I realized, wait a second, I don't have to just market, you know, $1 apps or, you know, free plus, you know, microtransaction, whatever it is, right? I could actually advertise and market, you know, courses like $9.97 courses, you know, people who have, you know, high ticket programs, services, right? You know, businesses of all sizes through YouTube ads to a funnel of some kind. And obviously there's a variety of different funnels, and then obviously to becoming a client or a sale. And that's what I've been doing, you know, the past, you know, 3-4 years, really been building it out. We have kind of a hybrid process. So we have a done with you program. So we're training people on YouTube ads, helping their business implement it, and then also helping them set everything up hands-on. You know, we've got our team going in, you know, we got a copywriter on the team helping them with their scripts. And that's basically the process. So that's kind of how I started. It was a YouTube channel I started over 10 years ago with mobile apps, and then it became now YouTube ads for businesses.
Yeah. So I took 2 notes, which is something that I wasn't doing in Purpose Chasers, but business just gets me so excited, and the possibility of gaining and of building new relationships, which is the foundation of my business, which is why I love podcasting, which is how I came to get on this call with you, which I'm already connected to you. So I'm excited for what could be the potential of the nurturing of this collaboration. But I don't want to overlook how you got started, because there's a key principle in that. You started your channel off of bringing value to other people, right? I believe that so many people, so many individuals get started in the digital space, and all their attention's focused on impact or on profit, right? It's like profit. I want to build a funnel. Know what? Your funnel sucks and it's not working, no matter how much spend you put behind it, because you're not bringing the value on the front end. And one thing that I can say from you know, watching probably every video that you've dropped due to your retargeting campaigns, right? It feels like every time I go to YouTube, I'm like, oh yeah. And so then I go check my calendar. I'm like, when's my interview? When's the interview with this dude? Sick of seeing him. How many times do you bring clients on that or inquiries in that you have to have, or your team has to have the conversation of like, okay, we got to start back over here. I realize that you want to get over here, but in order to get over here, we actually have to warm an audience up. Right now, no one knows you and no one cares about you.
Yep.
How often do you have to start the kind of the business transaction or the relationship with that client from that place?
And that's a great question, because it comes up a lot more than you would think, is that you need to make sure that you are putting yourself forward and people trust you and you're the face. That's why, when I see people come in, like before they work with us, maybe they had like a whiteboard explainer video, or they just had kind of a slide deck where they didn't show their face. It's like, you need your face to be in the marketing, in your YouTube ad. You need to connect with people. What's your brand? What's your story? I mean, this is what you're talking about, right? Basically, how can you help people? And when we get into some of the key tips of a winning YouTube ad, and then we'll talk about the targeting, one of the big components is we want a longer ad. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they'll just do like a 30, 60-second ad. They'll basically say, hey, do you have this problem? Okay, go sign up for my webinar. But there's no trust built. There's no value. You're not actually providing something to somebody. So with our ad, and you've kind of referenced this too, at the top of funnel, obviously you've seen a lot of retargeting now, but we hook people, right? We get them excited and interested, and we have a few different ones, how hijack your competitors' traffic, using YouTube video ads, and then we also have one that's kind of us versus them, like YouTube ads beat Facebook ads, but then we say, let me show you why. Let me show you how this works, and we actually showcase how it works going inside an ad account, teaching people a little bit, right? Telling them things like, on YouTube, you only pay if somebody watches 30 seconds of the ad. They didn't know that before, right? A lot of people. And so it's creating these aha moments. It's what I call giving, golden nuggets in your marketing and getting people to see you and get value from you. So then when you say, hey, now you can go ahead and sign up for the webinar, we're going to give you more value there. They trust that because you've already given them value.
Yeah. And it's rare in this industry, in the world of digital marketing, and especially when it comes to those agency owners, right? It's rare to meet another individual that holds that same philosophy of, like, I like to think about like this, is I want the individual who is in my world, and I don't take that lightly, right? I don't take the fact that they listen to this podcast, or they follow me on social media. Like, I don't take that lightly. They have, like, it's a world of choice, which is kind of a risque conversation right now with what's going on in the world at the time of this interview, but it's a world of choice. They don't have to follow me. I'm a button away from them never knowing me again. Right. Mm-hmm. I want them to think, if this is what Aleric gave me for free, what in the hell is on the other side? Right. And like, that philosophy, you and I were talking about it in the beginning, that How to Win Friends and Influence People foundation of this podcast being started. What I find is the more value that I bring clients, the higher conversion rate. Right. I think about it from when I was doing substance abuse interventions. I would do a consult call with a family before I ever discussed money. And oftentimes parents would want to talk about money. And I'm like, no, I just don't do that on the first call. And they're like, well, you've already done so much for us. I'm like, yeah. And if if that was helpful and you feel like that's going to work for you, then utilize that. And I actually did a substance abuse intervention this last week for free and for fun. It was a 2-hour consult. Their loved one ended up in treatment, and the family came back to me and wanted to pay me. And I'm like, no. If you want to go further with me. So now they're trying to work out the irons of, like, what does it look like to go further with Mark? Because he gave us, all of this. And I just think that runs so through my business and all the close relationships that I have today. Yeah. When you can sniff a fraud out, I can't sniff you out in your videos, dude. And because you're authentic. There's no shady, your hooks are good, by the way. Oh. Because you don't look like, you drop hooks. Like, I see you in your videos, you drop hooks and it's like, this dude, like, really? So let's get into this.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this. My experience is you can't convince somebody of the power of digital marketing. And you talked about it, right? You talked about, like, you launching your channel 10 years ago. And then you decided to, try to convince these apps that, hey, YouTube ads are working for my channel. They're pretty sure they'll work for your app. And they're like, oh, I don't know. Right. My experience is we have kind of a meter in our agency, in Solar Lead Machine and Constant Connections. And that is, like, if they're too skeptical, we're not going to spend the time convincing them that it'll work. Right? Because that turns into a hard sale, which is not something. I'm really skilled at sales, and I I know that you are as well, right? But I'm skilled at sales because the world's sick of hard selling.
Mm-hmm.
They want authentic relationships. And so I don't do it. I'm not going to push and push and push. Like, you don't understand the power of social media because you've never invested in social media marketing. And if you invested today, you would understand. It's like, no. It's like, hey, I'm going to send you this thing every week and just show you what's going on with our other clients. And if you want to jump on another video, or if you want me to stop, you just let me know. But I want to send you some screenshots and, you know, some videos and just show you what it's doing for other individuals in your market. You know, so like I told you, we're really niched down with HVAC, roofing, and solar, right? Like that's where we niched in. And I know that you're focused on, you know, course creators and coaches and that kind of, which, gosh, is another whole rabbit hole. So do you have any kind of gauges that you decide, okay, instead of going into a hard sell, or do you go into a hard sell in which you kind of have a, you know, I know a lot of people are big on rebuttals. I'm big on rebuttals as well, but with my background as a therapist, I can identify if I need to rebuttal or if they're not going to be convinced on this call. Well, what's your gauge with that?
So I am a huge believer, and it sounds like you are as well, in more of a consultative sale, right? Where it's basically, let me get the information about what your business is and what your challenges are in your marketing. What are you doing right now? And oftentimes, you know, people either have one or two problems. Either they don't have like a marketing apparatus at all, and they don't really have consistent leads. Maybe they're doing some organic, you know, or they're cold calling, or they're doing different things, but they don't have anything in place to consistently provide leads. And or on the other side, they're struggling with, you know, Facebook ads is one of the biggest common thing, right? Is, you know, they're like, oh, the results one day are great, the next day they're down, and it's because of the Facebook algorithm. We can kind of talk about that later. But what I do is I like listen. I want to hear it. I want to have an understanding, right? So, you know, think about it. If you're like a doctor, right? You can't just say, oh, you need this medicine, right? You need to understand and diagnose what the problem is that person and that business is facing, and then determine if what you have is a solution, then lay it out. And honestly, you know, and now obviously I have like more of a sales team, so I have and I don't even call them really the sales team. I call them our advisors, right? So they'll get on these consultation calls, right? And it's a free strategy call, and you know, we'll give people strategy, and they can, you know, they can either take it, or we could say, hey, we can help you implement this, and we'll map out, you know, what that looks like. But I think the biggest thing is, if people don't really fully understand the power, is we ask them, like, you know, well, how do you feel getting to this point? And they'll describe, or could you recount like how you got on this call? And it always starts with, they saw an ad, and they, you know, they watched a webinar, and then, you know, and then I retargeted them for weeks or whatever, and giving more value even in the retargeting, or they joined my free Facebook group, and they literally saw that I have over a dozen free trainings that I give out there too. You know, they're basically getting all of this value. And, but then constantly seeing me and being retargeted, and they're like, wait a second, that's what you're saying you're going to help me with. And then it connects the dots. It's like, you know, not only is it being authentic, and that's something I believe in, is like how to win friends and influence people. You know, I've got that, we connected on that before this call. I've got like a poster, and I'll send you the link to that. You know, and I look at that every day, because it's really, you know, when you can show people, listen, like, I am, you know, this, everything that I'm doing for my business and what I found works, that's what I want to help you out with as well. And I think that's where, you know, people, there are going to be some people who are still skeptical of that, and that's okay. But there are going to be enough people that are like, wow, I appreciate you talking about that and you seeing that. You know, I've had sometimes, because sometimes people will book a call before, like immediately, you know, before they've seen retargeting and different stuff. And just the other day, one of our advisors said that, you know, they had somebody who said, well, I don't really know Aleric that well. And, you know, we know that they're going to be hit with a lot of retargeting ads, and, you know, because they basically just one day. Like,
you about to know me by the end of the weekend.
Exactly. So instead of like pushing for, you know, a close, or pushing to enroll them right then and there, you know, because they're a good fit, then listen, like, you know, here, I'm going to send you a training, but you're also probably going to get some of these ads as well. And you're going to start to see, you know, some of these retargeting ads, and you'll get to know Aleric a little bit better. That was the advisor, you know, who said that. And, you know, they think, and this was actually just a couple of days ago, so hopefully become a client, but if not, you know, it's no worries. But, you know, they thanked our advisor for not pressuring them to close, because they wouldn't, you know, because it's one of those things where, you know, people need to come, the best way is if people come to the decision on their own, because then they're also all there. they're actually excited about implementing, taking action. We have a program it's a hybrid, right? So we do a lot of work, with and for our clients, but also our clients have to put in work themselves. And it's just best when people come to that decision on their own, and then they're ready, and then we can work at our peak and they can work at their peak, and we can make some awesome things happen.
Absolutely. I mean, we might even be doing another conversation for you and I, just to go back and forth the tips and tricks on how we actually sell without selling. I created a course called the 6 Steps to the No Sell Close, right? Mm-hmm. In which I walk coaches and therapists through a process of closing a client without ever selling.
Yeah.
Right. You just don't need to. And we're in a world that authentic relationships make the sales. And here's one thing that I've found. Right. And I've done hard closing, right? I've done hard sales. I'm like, you need this, you're going to die, right? Like whatever it is that we're talking about, but essentially that's it. And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it causes a lot of frustration on the back end, because those are the individuals that are going to leave your program because they came into it feeling pressured. It wasn't a decision they made. It wasn't something that they truly wanted. And so I would like to transition into asking you this question. In working with clients, in my experience in this space as well, oftentimes services such as what you offer on YouTube are viewed as an expense. And I know that this is not an expense, it's an investment, right? And if you put the time, energy, and resources into this to do it right, to actually warm an audience up, it becomes, there's an ROI on the other side, right? Like it's not I pay Aleric this and I'm going to get no results. It's like, I'm going to pay Aleric and his team this, and we're going to set up a YouTube campaign and build a funnel out and we're going to work on that and put the resources into that until it works. What's your experience working with clients on that, and your philosophies around, video content being an investment? I don't know why I just stumbled over my words there. An investment versus, an expense.
Absolutely. That's a great question, because it really is an investment, because especially the way that we do it as well. And we do it, the way that we do it as a done with you, I found that that's the best way to implement it, because, and then I'll get into kind of, how we view the return. I'll give a couple of examples. And actually,
so let me pause you real quick. So you're not the type of marketer that will throw a bunch of buzzwords at clients to hope that they get the sale, because they know that they'll confuse the client and they won't understand. You mean you and your team actually take the time to explain those buzzwords to your client?
Yeah, you gotta let people know exactly how. Yeah, exactly, because they need to understand. It's the same thing. It's and we had some of this before, but literally 2 weekends ago, I spent over 20 hours on the weekend redoing my entire training on how to build a YouTube ads ready funnel for our clients. I teach YouTube ads. Do people need, there's a lot of training out there for funnels. I'm like, I want to make sure that our clients have access to everything. And I'm not even advertising. I didn't put that in any marketing. It's just something that's how you can, I think, tell too. And I'm not trying to say this just to kind of, but I'm not going to put that in the marketing. We're not really saying, it's not like a sales point. When you have people who can build things and add things to client success, that it's not something on the front end just to get a sale. That's, I think, when you can tell that you have somebody, more authentic. I've been involved in both types of programs that constantly, they update and they add things, and people on the outside looking in would never know they added something, right? But the clients know, and that's how you know that they care about the clients, because they're constantly adding. But yeah, so that's how. So we have it done with you, because I've seen one of the biggest problems is there's a lot of courses out there. Now, we work with clients who have courses, and there are a lot of great courses, but with something at this level that we're trying to implement and that we are trying to make sure that you get the best results, the problem with the course is they get outdated. There's no help, especially with something complicated like YouTube ads, right? There's no hands-on help with the course. There's no support. On the other side, you have agencies, and this is where one of the problems is you're beholden to the agency. It's not really a long-term investment working with an agency. Now, it can be and is in a lot of cases a wise ongoing investment, but you are going to be basically shackled to paying that investment forever. Now, there are a lot of great agencies out there, but when you're trying to learn a new skill with like YouTube ads and you're an entrepreneur that wants to implement this, I found that the best way to invest is to have a hybrid process where you're learning, but at the same time, you have those kind of components where we have copywriters help you write your scripts. We're actually helping you, set up your campaigns and then teaching you how it works. So you have that understanding going forward. Now, don't get me wrong. There's great courses. There's great agencies. When you're looking to learn a completely new skill, when you're talking about an investment, like think about a restaurant that buys a new oven. You don't want to lease the oven and pay for it. You want to have something that you're learning. It's a tangible skill that you can take and grow.
Yeah, I guess it hadn't even hit me until you said it, that we're actually doing that in our agency right now, where we have, Nathaniel and Bobby the two of the partners
Mm-hmm.
have put a lot of work into really building out and optimizing the CRM that we're using. And so we were on a call yesterday where it was like, well, what do we charge them for the CRM? And I was like, nothing. They're paying a retainer plus, a back end rip when they get to a higher tier. Like, no. So we're just going to give them the CRM. Yeah, it's not costing us anything. Why would we not? Now, if they want it, we'll have some setup fees if they want to get the text automation and, the scheduling and all the trinkets, put into their CRM. We can charge them a setup fee and we can have a higher tier if they want to take it even further. But no, like it's funny that you just said that. And then I just thought about it and I was like, oh, wow. Because we could easily get 47, 97, whatever, 200 a month for CRM access. But then we're just nickel and diming our clients. And then if we just dropped it on them and said, hey, we have this thing that we've been working on like a lot. Nathaniel has put a lot of work into this. So he was kind of like, what? We're not going to charge for this? I was like, no. Who else in our market are doing that? No one. They're upselling everyone. So we've cut the price, plus we're giving you a CRM. Why? We want long-term relationships.
Yeah.
I just got to say this. I like you. You're a good human, Aleric. I just wanted to air that on this episode. You're just a genuine dude, and you never know when you see people on the internet. And something that you said made me think of this. I'm like, he is a good dude. And when you said that you created a funnel, like you basically outlined for your clients what a funnel is, because it's one of those confusing words that most people don't understand, right?
Yeah.
I have a really simplified way of describing it to clients, but we won't go into that because I use sex for a lot of my sales analogies, right? And most people treat their marketing like a one-night stand. It's like they're hoping they're going to swipe right on Tinder and then all of a sudden they're going to make love, right? Like you have to warm them up. You got to buy them dinner. You got to rub their leg. So that's how I explain funnels to clients. But I think it goes even deeper with you. And I want to ask you this. I think there's a piece of you that wants to give more value to your client because you want to protect them. There's a lot of sharks in the water. You know this. You've been in this game longer than I have. There's a lot of sharks in the water. There's a lot of people stealing, taking advantage of, using buzzwords to confuse clients. Do you think there's an aspect of that, of you adding more to your clients and from a aspect of trying to protect them and save them?
100%, because that's what I see is, it's all encompassing. Everything needs to be dialed, and this, we know this. But the problem is there's people that are selling like just this one thing is the solution. That's why, the problem is, the whole business needs to be dialed in. You have a good offer. You need to have good marketing. You need to be able to close and do sales. Like we actually, I'm basically taking one of my advisors and I'm paying them extra to do weekly sales clinics. We don't, teach, like sales isn't our thing. Like on the outside, we're not even really talking about that. People you wouldn't know that from watching our ads, but it's what our clients need, right? Is to complement the YouTube ads. Because what's the good of, the leads coming in if you can't close them, right? You need to be able to have at least those skills. Now, I'm not saying we're the best. There are, and I can connect people if they want, like a high caliber, trainer who's also, heart-centered, right, as well. But at least giving people enough so that they can put the pieces together to actually, make something happen and get that return, and then actually be able to have that be a snowball that they can continue to grow and, continue to invest in themselves. So I 100%, agree with that. And I might've lost the original question there, but really oh yes, making sure that the client sees success. Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
And it's it's for sake of protecting. And so, in the bumper or the intro outro of this episode, like, I offer an opportunity for them to go to heartcenteredhustlers.com and book a free marketing or business consult. Right. And so people would be like, oh, this is a sales call, because an actual consult has lost its meaning. When I go into doing a consultation with a client for marketing or for business, I'm all in. I'm doing upfront research, and I've had people come to me and say, hey, I got to cancel the call. I'm like, why? I don't have the money. I'm like, you don't need money. It's a freak. Like, I'm offering you some of my time. Oh, like, if if you decide to go further on the other side, you decide to go further, but I'm thinking of and I tell clients this, I'm thinking of the long game. I'm not thinking of the quick stripe hit from you, swiping your card today. I'm thinking long-term. And I've done some research for you on the front end, so I always have that in the back pocket. Mm-hmm. I've done some research for you, and I think I can offer you some tips and tricks in which you getting on this call is going to bring value into your business. And I can't tell you how many, long-term consulting agreements have come out of that conversation, because they're thinking, you think about it, you're in the marketing world as am I. So it's like, what is it? As a breakthrough coaching session, or, a free consult, or there's some other new buzzwords now that they're using now that, the world's changed a little bit, but people know that call is going to be a sales call.
Yeah.
They know. They're on defense. And when you get on that call and you start dropping fire, right? Their walls come down. They're like, oh my God, Aleric, okay. And you get to the end and you're like, hey, we have this thing over here. And knowing what you do, they already know about that thing because they saw 6 different videos on that thing, and they're in your Facebook group, and they're getting your emails, and they're all the things. So it's just like, hey, we have this thing, if you decide that it's a fit for you, which I believe it is, we would love to go further with you. Aleric, what's next for you?
That's a great question. So what I'm doing is, I'm really excited about growing and continuing to, have an impact with as many people as possible. YouTube is, the wave. That's what's coming in. Like basically Facebook's the red ocean, YouTube's the blue ocean. It's actually kind of funny. The colors are flipped, but that's the way it looks, right now. And I really want to help people, we didn't even really dive into this as much, right? But I want to help people, get away from the ups and downs of Facebook ads. And don't get me wrong, Facebook ads work, and there are incredible people, and you also run, Facebook ads for people too, that can get them dialed in. But some people are running into some problems, especially people, right, who have an expert-based business where they want to provide value. It's easy to get lost in the noise on Facebook. Now, Facebook for solar and roofing, we were talking about earlier, that's perfect. You've got, you can basically, people go through there, they're excited about that. I know that's what you do. But when it comes to coaching and consulting, think of how many of those you see in your Facebook feed, and they're all just like either image ads or they're a video, but the sound is off. You're not actually gaining any value. They're a dime a dozen. Versus when somebody pops up on
Let me say this real quick before you get into this, because to highlight what you just said, Facebook, when you get into the algorithms, as is a buzzword that Aleric already talked about, as soon as Facebook can identify that you're interested in YouTube marketing because you watched Aleric's video, Facebook is then going to serve you every single person that's doing YouTube marketing. So if you're looking for a coach and you see Aleric's a life coach, he's going to help me move past my problems. Now, all of a sudden, the person who saw your ad on Facebook is now going to see every other person's ad on Facebook. So I just wanted to really break that down a little bit for you listening. So now, Aleric, go into the difference between, because I just wanted to break that down for them. It's so people don't know and people get confused. They don't understand why I say, hey, Siri, where do I find a life coach? And then all of a sudden they get hit with 75 Facebook ads for life coaching, right? Like that's Facebook's looking to serve you as much as they can because they're not necessarily focused on each specific client. They're focused on the spend that client's making, and they want conversion so their client spends more money.
Yep.
All right, now jump
exactly. And then you're hitting people at all times of the day, and that's the thing, you're competing, and there's nothing that helps you really stand out that well. Now, some people do it well on there are tricks to stand out, but the much easier way is think about YouTube. People are searching something in particular, right? So like life coaching, right? You could have, and we have a lot of life coaches that we've worked with, and you could literally like look up on YouTube, you could be watching either, a Tony Robbins video, or you could be looking up, motivation, or you could be looking up how to improve this area, or you can niche it down, And so you're looking that up, and then in front of that direct video, you now have an ad where you're talking to people, you're giving your unique angle, and they're listening to it because not only is it visual with video, but audio is on, your face is there. It feels like a natural video that loads in front. Now, if they skip the ad, that's actually, you want people who aren't interested to skip, because what a lot of people don't know is you only pay if you watch 30 seconds of that ad. And so, yes, there's gonna be people that skip, that's fine. But the people that are interested, think about this. You only pay if they watch 30 seconds. And if you make that 30 seconds count and you have a good hook and you're starting to talk to people, and then obviously your video can be longer than that, 4 or 5 minutes, however long it is, right? And you're educating, you're providing value, people are gonna see you as the expert, and they're gonna be much more likely to take action and be excited to work with you because you've now made a connection. As opposed to just something that somebody sees, in a feed, you have a video and you're developing that connection with somebody through, audio visual, video.
I want to ask you this. Such great info, by the way. And I think we've done a good job of breaking this down and simplifying it for those, because there's a lot. It's very easy to get confused in this world. Let me ask you this. This is off the cuff. Are you already, and I know you're a smart dude, that's why I'm asking this. Are you already looking into Spotify, their streaming platform they're rolling out?
Oh, 100%. I'm looking into that. So that's the thing too. You know what I've discovered? I haven't even really, because I've done several of these podcasts with Interview Valet and everything, we mentioned them earlier. I haven't really brought this up to many other people, but like one of the big things I do, and obviously if you send over and if you're willing and you send over the video version of this interviews, I know we're doing it over Zoom. I love running interviews as retargeting ads on YouTube, but as discovery ads. So that people are scrolling. You might have actually seen some of these already. There's a couple of the Joel Irway. I did obviously one with the ClickFunnels podcast and a few others that I'm popping. You scroll through your feed on your phone on YouTube, and if you're in my retargeting, you'll see that video but it feels natural. Then people, next thing you know, they're watching an hour of my content. I would love to be able to do that, with the audio version over on Spotify. And it's actually kind of funny. Before they even announced all of this, I was looking that up before. I like to be retargeting everywhere. Really having an omnipresent approach, right? That means being all over the place. And I think that's so important. So yeah, I'm looking into that. I love being on the cutting edge, and YouTube's obviously my focus. That's what I'm really good at. That's what I've developed. That's the best that I've seen and developed in terms of advertising. But utilizing every platform, like I'll retarget people on Facebook. It's also good for middle of funnel as well with impressions. But for top of funnel, with a coach, consultant, course creator, YouTube ads, that's what I love helping people set up.
Yeah, I just had to ask that question. I have an intro to make for you too. I just took note of it. An individual who's become a good friend of mine who is in that space that I believe you two could collaborate and do some I would say damage, but you're going to help people. Aleric, is there anything that we missed in this interview that you would like to convey to the heart-centered hustlers that you think could save them time and make them money while building deeper connections with humans?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing that I would say, obviously, other than everything, we talked about already, we didn't really dive too much into the specifics of YouTube retargeting as a huge action takeaway of something you could do right now. Now, there's a lot of complicated components to YouTube cold traffic. That's why we have our program. You know, there's a lot of
I'll be straight. I
Yeah.
don't get it. Like, and it's because there's so much there that like I've looked into it. I mean, I got on a call with another, a woman that I follow and her team, and I'm not going to drop her name, but you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, I just don't get it. Like I'm not investing 25 grand right now. I just don't get it. And they didn't do a good job explaining it, or I might have invested. So it's like, I don't get it for those of you who are listening. So I'm excited for what he's about to drop. So go ahead, give us a bird's eye view of this whole deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, you know, in terms of your cold traffic YouTube ads, right? It starts with having a winning YouTube video ad where you have a hook, you capture people's attention, you push the wrong person away, pull the right person in, you educate. Then you provide some value, some golden nuggets. You have a call to action, getting them off of that video and into your funnel.
I want to ask you questions where you go through this.
Oh yeah.
To break up your your rant. Do you have a way to decide, like make the decision? Do you have a process that you go through to determine a winning video so you know that the hook is working?
100%. We split test it. And when I talk about
that was a softball. I just threw him a softball.
Yeah, I love it. We'll knock that one out of the park. But but honestly, what we do, so we have an in-house copywriter. Actually, we now have two, right? But as we've been growing, we've got in-house copywriters that will work with our clients and we'll script out a video like together, right? So you know best like what your service or a product or course or whatever it is, and we have our consultants that know our copywriters, who know YouTube ads and how to script it. So we combine that together. Now you have that winning script. And what we'll do is we'll create 4 or 5 different hooks, and then we'll split test those hooks. But it feels like you're filming 1.5 videos because you just film hook 1, hook 2, hook 3, hook 4, hook 5, and then just the educate portion and the call to action. Sometimes you might have 2 educates to split test as well. And then you just have an editor go through and basically hook 1 and then the rest of the video, hook 2 and then the rest of the video. And then we'll run that on YouTube and we will just let the data tell us what converts best. And sometimes we're surprised. It's kind of funny. Sometimes you're like, wait, that's the one that converts, but it does. And you just let the data tell you. So you create these videos. Now, that's also really important too, because a lot of people don't know how to put together a winning YouTube ad. There's a lot of more components that go into that as well that we talk about, but it's that hook, educate, call to action. That's kind of a bird's eye view. And then it's all about the targeting. And if you want, I could talk about, the biggest mistake that people make, right? When they're targeting or they're setting up, YouTube ads, maybe they're following, there's kind of some outdated. That's the other thing too, we kind of talked about. There's unfortunately some people out there who, they also sell a software to find placements for YouTube ads. And then they only teach how to run placement ads. So you're reliant on the software. And I'm not, by the way, I don't like to talk about people. I don't say any names or whatever, but there's things like that, right? There's so much more than just placement ads where you just put the URL of the video. The problem with those is they're really good at a small scale. It's super targeted. The problem is when you try to scale that up, there's only so many views those videos are getting. So you have to constantly, find new videos and also use that software or whatever to find new videos. And it can work at a small scale, but to scale up, people realize you need something bigger. So they start to target keywords or topics, which is a collection of videos or the tag or what somebody searches on YouTube. And then they watch a video and then your ad comes in front. The problem there is that's super scalable. The problem is it's not as targeted. You're not laser pointing one person, right? So what we have created, and we've come up with the concept of 3D YouTube ads, which is 3-dimensional targeting. 3D YouTube ads targeting, I mean to say, I just said the word targeting there. 3D YouTube ads targeting, which is 3-dimensional targeting. So it starts out with the demographics, right? Who somebody is, household income, and you probably know this, obviously, Mark, in the past, household income was better on Facebook like 2 years ago when you used to do specific. They got rid of it. Now it's all zip code based, which can still work in some cases. And actually something like solar probably actually work well. But, in other cases, if you're trying to pinpoint a person that's like a business owner that's in the top 10 or 20% of income earners, that's really hard on Facebook. On YouTube, you can target the demographics of top 10%, top 20%. And that's perfect for coaches, consultants, course creators. So you have the demographics. Then you have, then you actually have what somebody is watching. So this is those keywords, those topics. It could be placements, but keywords and topics, it's a collection of keywords, a collection of topics. So like, let's say you're a fitness coach, you're helping people with that, like how to lose weight, best workouts, things like that. But those alone might not be enough. Let's say you're a fitness coach that wants to work with professionals that are in the right income bracket. So top 20%, they're now looking up how to lose weight. They're looking up, how to get fit, best workouts. There's a third component, and this is what a lot of people leave out, and this is what we teach, and this is the key to our process and getting these great results, is the third dimension, and that is audiences and affinity layering. So we layer on top of this affinity audiences. So a lot of people don't know you even have this. The same way Facebook has interests and things like that, you have what are called in-market audiences and affinity audiences on YouTube/Google, where they know things about you, right? So you could put in ClickFunnels. You could put in, there's in-market audiences. There are people who are business professionals. There's in the market for advertising and marketing services, right? So you're combining that with the fact that they're looking up how to lose weight. They're a business professional in an income bracket. You've got the perfect person. For us, top income bracket. So they're business owner, over here, over here, they are looking up, Facebook ads, marketing, how to get more leads, how to get sales. And they've also, have an affinity to ClickFunnels, right? That's a great, perfect person for us. And so you're basically building this triangle, identifying the perfect person that you're now reaching that ad that you spent time crafting. And when you combine those together, that is the secret sauce that basically will work every time. And sometimes right off the bat, you do have to do some narrowing down so you can, turn off keywords that don't work, things like that. You can see that in the YouTube platform. But once you set that up and you start honing in on the bullseye, that's when you can get the people, consistently who are in that, ability to afford. They're looking it up right now. They have intent. You're in your target market and you're presenting an ad that's going to get them to trust you.
It's very similar to Facebook, but it's a different, it's just a different world. It's a different animal that's so confusing. And that's why there are these people, these players offering the software and nickel and diming and taking advantage of these individuals that are seeking. And I long for a day when all individuals will just get to where they want to go without having to spend I spent almost $250,000, trying to find funnel builders. And I was working hard to acquire that money in my business, and the education piece was what I was missing. If I was educated on all of this stuff going into it, I would have known where to go. And what I want to say to you, heart-centered hustlers, is if you have been wanting to get into YouTube, or you've been thinking about YouTube advertising, or you've tried Facebook advertising, I'm going to put my stamp on this man right here. Like, it's still over my head. And I think we'll have a follow-up conversation to go deeper on what you stated around, launching this video. And I put a lot of, money into, repurposing content, and, there'll be video clips with, all of my things on digital assets. And I haven't maximized that because I know Facebook, and Facebook's its own animal, and it works really well for some things, and it works great for all things, depending on what you can spend. Right?
Yeah.
So, Aleric, where can anyone that's interested listening to this episode find more, or jump on a call with, I love how you call your sales team advisors. Where can they jump on a call with one of your advisors to kind of ask questions and go deeper?
Yeah, that's great. And actually, just to go in line with everything that we talked about, I actually put together a page where I want to give the listeners, a few free gifts, and also the ability to book that call with our advisors. It's adoutreach.com/gifts. So it's adoutreach.com/gifts. And on that page, you'll have a little video just, thanking you for listening to the podcast, talking about how I like it. Also talking underneath, underneath that, I have some of the individual links to our webinar, which is really a great primer if you're newer to YouTube ads, you're trying to figure out what it is. It's an hour and 8-minute webinar. And the way you know that I drop value on that is the average watch time on that hour and 8-minute webinar is 53 minutes, where we offer the call at 45. So, there's value. I go in, I dive into it, and I feel really proud of it. Right.
You offer the call
like,
at 45 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Offer
man,
the,
that's usually, yeah, it's usually the drop. As soon as they know the sale, they're usually gone, ghost.
yeah.
That's
And
intense. So
yeah,
that link will be in the show notes of this episode. It'll also be with the social media posting, and it'll probably be with this YouTube ad that we may collaborate on running for this episode.
exactly.
I mean, why not? What better time to get into it? Aleric, I want to ask you this final question that I ask all guests. How can I and the Heart-Centered Hustlers community support you in what you're doing?
Absolutely. So, I also have on a link on that page, a link to our free Facebook group, YouTube Ads for Entrepreneurs. That's what I love, like being, obviously YouTube ads what I do, but I have a Facebook group because that's the best platform for groups, right? To be in like a group with other people and collaborate. And I'm posting in there, I'm providing trainings. Every month I do a new free training that I post in the group. And so, even if this is something that you might not be ready for yet, at least join the Facebook group. You can also join my email list too, but at least join the Facebook group. And if you know other entrepreneurs or other business owners, either send them this podcast or, get them to join that group as well. And so they can start seeing the value, and that's going to be transformational for their business. It's not just so that they become a client, it's so that they can change their business and grow with YouTube ads. And so that would be incredible. And that's another great way to connect. It's all on that adoutreach.com/gifts.
The greatest. I'm so grateful that I got to connect with you. It's the greatest attitude to have in business is like, I just want to bring value. If you become a client, that's a bonus. That's people ask me all the time, like, how have you had the success that you've had? And how do you do all the things? And it's because I have that attitude. How can I bring value? How can I serve? And value and service, the money in my bank is a direct response to the value and service that I bring. Aleric, thank you so much for your time, man. I really, really appreciate this. This episode was amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Mark.